Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Now We Know podcast. Normally, I would be calling this one First Friday with Mr. Brian Flynn from Super7, but due to the holiday, we're having to bring you in on the second Friday. So, hello, sir, and thanks for being flexible and taking some time to
Yeah.
talk with us.
No, this is the second Friday version of this podcast. That's how it's.
Yeah, Yeah, and it couldn't come in a more hectic time because I was thinking about this and it's like this is the post Joe Fest pre San Diego Comic Con right in the middle of a whole bunch of like pre-orders and things shipping going on right now. So we got a lot to talk about.
It's the maelstrom. Let's go.
I
Come
know,
on.
I
This is
know.
we are in the maw of Comic Con.
What's crazy is that we're building up to it, and you are going to be getting started on, being there in just a little over a week, I would say, before the rest of us start to roll in. But to think about the next time we talk in one of these things, it's all going to be in the rear view by then. So things are moving fast.
Yeah, no, we get old at an increasingly exponential rate.
Damn. But
By the
that's why
time we speak, another San Diego will have come and gone.
that's why we talk
We need
about
like an
stuff like
announcer.
this.
I need to that.
You need the Justice League announcer voice.
Exactly. Like the changing of the seasons, yet another San Diego has come and gone.
The sands of time. Well, that was
Exactly.
that was yeah. Soap opera. It's become a soap opera. But as usual, since the last time we talked, several things have come in. Gotten some new ThunderCats since then, and some other stuff is shipping. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimate Series 10 is on its way
Yep.
right now, and we wouldn't be having one of these if I wasn't following it up like 2 days later with getting something in the mail timely. So that's going to be arriving. I think Turtles 7 is finally. Turtles
Fine.
Turtles 7 is finally almost here too, right?
Yes. The long lost turtles.
That's just had quite an adventure through the production channels, huh?
An adventure is a nice term for it.
But we're on track now, and it's gonna be soon
It's
for
going to be
that
soon. It's going to be awesome.
gigantic gorilla and friends.
There is a very large simian involved.
Well, we're going to talk about some of the pre-orders that you guys opened up since the last time we talked about as well.
Are you talking
But
about 2003 turtles? Come on.
2003 Turtles, more ThunderCats. We got Toxie. We got Conan. It's a whole bunch of stuff. But before you guys opened those pre-orders, you attended Joe Fest, where you were able to finally show off the long anticipated O-ring style line that you have dubbed Reaction Plus for GI Joe,
Right.
right?
Reaction Plus. It's still a retro action figure reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You go. And then the plus, if you look at the logo, the plus it's a plus sign plus the O in the circle. So
Little
the plus
screw.
is the screw in the back, and the
Yeah.
O is the O-ring. So it's
Yeah.
reaction plus.
And you guys showed off some early tooling samples, or I'm not exactly sure what
Or
stage.
test shots.
No, test shots of some of the first figures that are coming, versions that we've never had before, and some updates on some classics, right?
Well, yeah, iterations of classics that you haven't had before.
Hmm.
So, hard to believe that there's never really been a vintage style O-ring Cobra Commander with the actual silver across the top of the head,
Yeah.
snake eyes in the gray with the blue. Um, let's see, what else do we have in there? Blonde-haired cover girl, because I'm thinking about the future. I'm trying to go back to the past here. Cobra
The
Bat,
twins. Yeah.
Cobra Bat as seen in the
Yeah.
comic. So that's the wave of single individual carded figures.
I think the bat is probably my favorite of that first of that first set. He looks really good. Lots of detail in there and fun swappable like
Oh
pieces that
yeah,
it's always had.
all the
So
pieces and parts. And
yeah.
then just because it gets asked a lot, the pegs are actually 3.5 millimeter as opposed to standard 3 millimeter. So they will be compatible with all your vintage Joes
Wow,
stuff.
just like keeping the style, the scale, and the compatibility with vintage going, huh? That's
Yep,
great.
yep. So
That's
your
great.
reaction stands are too loose for it because
Yeah.
traditional action figures are 3 millimeter. GI Joe is 3.5 millimeter, so they're
Just
not the same.
have to be different. Have to be
Have to
different.
be just to make it difficult on us. And then yeah, as you mentioned, the two pack, Tomax and Zaymon.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
With the
it's a
mirrors.
fun way to start. And these are, pulling their influences from a couple of different places. Cartoon for sure, but it is.
Cartoon and comic,
Hmm.
iteratives of the classic figures in this case that you don't have.
Hmm. Yeah.
Same as what we've been doing in reaction. Like, what do you not have? You don't
Right.
need me to make you an all black Snake Eyes. You have that.
Hmm.
So
A
how
few
do I
of
make
them,
you the Snake
actually.
Eyes you don't have?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's cool because I've had a lot of people, who saw pictures or were actually attending Joe Fest who, I've seen some excitement and people having a lot of questions and having these compatible with the vintage figures is a lot of fun. Is this for you guys? Is this a shift to a style for GI Joe, or are you going to continue to do the classic reaction figures in Joe and Ultimates as well, or is Reaction Plus kind of the focus for Joe now?
I mean, Reaction Plus will be a focus.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that we're not going to make reaction figures. We won't be making them at the same pace, obviously. So to overstate maybe what would be the obvious is, you've been able to walk into Target and pull Reaction right off the
Hmm.
shelf.
Hmm.
Reaction Plus will replace that at Target on the shelf. So the
Gotcha.
cadence at mass is definitely going to be Reaction Plus.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that we're going to stop making reaction figures, but we're definitely going to slow down and pace it out a little bit more and make it a little bit more, you know, special slash collector. But we will keep that line going
Yep.
and keep making new stuff in that line.
Hmm.
It's just not going to be the one where you walk into store and be able to pull it off the shelf.
Gotcha. 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 And Ultimates is going to are going to continue as
Ultimates,
well for Joe?
what we're really talking about with Ultimates is what we've seen over and over again, I think across a lot of pre-orders, but especially Joe has been, you know, when it actually shows up on shelf, sells really well. But pre-orders right now, people are just not in the mood.
Hmm.
It varies on licenses, but we've seen it really been slowing down and been pretty soft in GI Joe. But then when we're able to put it on shelf, like we were able to take uh, an open spot that happened at Walmart. I mean, a product dropped out from somebody else, and they were like, "We need something." We're like, "Hey, put these in there." They sell really well.
Yeah.
So we're really looking at transitioning that Ultimates line into more of an in-stock
Okay.
play.
Okay.
But if you think about how we work right now, where you're buying it and you wait a year to get it,
Hmm.
well, if I'm going to transition to in-stock, that's a year away.
Right.
We're in that sort of in between stage.
Gotcha, gotcha. So
So
that we kind of had a catch up with several like properties in reaction that I actually collect. Is like there was quite a bit of time in between, but then all of a sudden they were ready to go and they were announced, and then boom, you can buy them right away. So that's what we're kind of in, as you mentioned, for the Ultimate shows. Okay, okay, that's great to hear because you had some Ultimates exclusives for Joe Fest as well. So I took that as a good sign that, things would be continuing, but it's good to hear how they're being altered just a little bit.
Joe Fest, we had reaction exclusives. San Diego,
San
we had
Diego, that it was announced at Joe Fest. Sorry, the
it was
San
announced
Diego
at Joe Fest. Yeah,
exclusives. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's exciting. Well, something else, related to this is that I like the idea of the branding of Reaction Plus because it gets my wheels, spinning a little bit. That could possibly maybe mean that this style won't necessarily be exclusive to GI Joe. Maybe something new overall in terms of something you guys are looking into.
I could not confirm nor deny that that thought.
I feel like that as an overall tie line style would probably appeal to a lot of people who are to hold that style near and dear for many years. So could be exciting, but it was great to finally see the first offerings for those as far as that goes. But
Yeah, it's super exciting. I mean, like I said, when we talked about this a lot at Joe Fest, where people were like, I always love, there were a lot of people there that like straight up like, I love the reaction line. There were a
mhm,
lot of people that I love what you were doing in it, but it's not my GI Joe.
right.
And look, we're not idiots. We know that that's not the majority, not the majority, but a large swath of the GI Joe collector. Like that is their format. You know, uh, but there are a lot of people that also grew up with Star Wars as well, and so they can cross that over.
Hmm.
Uh, but we're not, immune, or I can't think of the right word without making it sound weird, but just like we know that there's a lot of people that really want O-rings. So we're
Yeah.
glad to finally be able to say like, hey, now we have something for you as well.
Yeah. That,
That doesn't diminish what those other people and what we have built together,
sure,
but
sure.
it's additive. It just
Right.
means I have that much more for more collectors and more people to be excited about.
Yeah. From an experience standpoint, too, with you guys debuting, the figures and being able to talk about them at Joe Fest, which was your first time at Joe Fest. That had to be a fun experience, especially as kind of a first time experience, being at a show completely or mostly dedicated to GI Joe, right?
Oh yeah, that's the first time we've been to, there was, yeah, we've been talking about Joe Fest last year, but we couldn't get our crap together in time to go. So
Gotcha.
our bad last year.
Yeah.
This year it was, so we planned for this year, and obviously we had a great announcement to make and show off there. So that was really, really, really wonderful.
Well,
It's sort of like PowerCon for Masters and
yeah.
Thunder. It's like it was a great convention because you were there and you're not trying to talk about everything. Like, let's
Right.
just talk about this and
Yeah.
just live in this. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun.
And I find too that oftentimes shows that are, thematic that way, being able to walk around and see what people have to offer in terms of for sale and whatnot can be a real trip because it's not just like the stuff that everybody knows. It gets, far into the minutia of the property as far as, products and stuff go. Did you get to spend some time looking through some of that stuff as well while you were there?
Yeah, I mean, if you saw my Instagram recap of going to Joe Fest, some of the biggest things were like, look at this towel.
Yeah,
It's rock and roll in camo on a towel. Like this is really weird and cool, and I've never seen it before.
yeah,
Where, we've all been collecting toys for a while. It's cool to see a lot of this vintage stuff, but we also have most of it or have a lot of it, and we're familiar with it. Very rarely do you walk into a booth and go, I've never seen that before.
yeah,
And or it's wrong in a really good way.
yeah,
You
right.
know? And you're like, oh, that's wrong.
So, sometimes stuff can be off model in such a beautiful, beautiful way.
Exactly. So that was, the stuff that I was so it was really cool. And everybody there was really nice and great. Yeah, it was a super fun show and can't wait to go back.
Great. Well, that's great news. I know we kind of talked about it, kind of not while we were recording, but I haven't had a chance to go to Joe Fest before, and I'm hoping that maybe next year might be the year for me to be able to do that. But for those of us who weren't able to attend Joe Fest, but we are able to be going to San Diego later this month, I assume you'll have some of the same, be able to show off the Reaction Plus and whatnot at San
Yep, yep,
Diego
yep.
too.
Oh, it'll be there.
Oh, cool. Cool. Well, I am looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing that and also talking a little bit more about San Diego, which we'll get into here in just a minute. But it's not just all about shows that you guys have been doing over the past several weeks. There have been several new Ultimates pre-orders that have been dropping. And I would like to share and talk about those here if we can kind of transition to that for a
Yep.
second, because first and foremost, if you can see him now,
Close to your heart.
yes, very close to my heart is ThunderCats Wave 11, I believe this is, which
Oh,
when I saw it, I was like, this is one of the most eclectic lineups that we've seen so far, and it's really a lot of fun.
yeah, I mean, obviously, we're getting into a little bit of the deep cuts, but there's a lot of stuff in there people have been asking about for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Bears,
Yep.
especially, like, when are we going to get the burbles?
Yep.
Like, all right, here's the first of the burbles. And then Luna and Amok is a big one people have been asking about.
I mean, you guys are what, two-thirds of the way through the entire Lunatax now with
Um,
this one? I think there's what, six of them total, right? And these are three and four. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, man. Man, and I was wondering how, Amok would be handled and Luna as well. I kind of expected that they would probably come together, but it's really cool that Amok looks to be just as large as he should be
Yeah, he's
at this
gigantic.
scale.
It was
Yeah.
gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so we know, or I'm making some, from what we've heard, like I know people are really after Luna and Amok. I know people are after Burbles and especially Robert Bill.
Hmm.
And then it's like, all right, well, where are we going? Looking forward at future waves and what we're doing here. And then it was like, all right, Claudus was for me one that was really, I thought, really important to get to and really interesting. And then we kept talking about, well, what's the fourth? What's the fourth? And I was like, well, if you got Claudus, you kind of have to have the Thunderian Guard.
Yeah.
We're like, does that work? Does it not work? Is it cool? Is it not cool? And we're in the end, we're just like, let's go. Let's just see. And
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
seem to be pretty pumped on it, which is good, which is good. So, no, I feel like it was a really strong wave. I know that it, I would say that it's doing really well across the board, which
Hmm.
is great. There's definitely a group of people out there who are like, this wave was a complete miss. But the majority of people are like, actually, I'm in for the whole thing. This wave is a huge hit. So I feel like you've got within the fan group, there's like everybody's like, oh, this is really an eclectic wave, as you put it, but it really hangs together for me and I love it. And then there's a few people, unfortunately, that are like, for those same reasons that those people love it are the reasons they're not into it, which is too bad, but it's doing really well. And
Well, well, that's awesome to hear. And I feel like maybe some of that may be coming because when I looked at this, I was like, wow, you know what? I'm all about the burbles. I think they're awesome, but in the context of the other figures in here, it's like, man, I'm one that is like, man, we are finally getting a Claudus figure, which I might add, he's a cat person and his name is Claudus. I don't know why they wouldn't have spelled his name Clawdus to kind of go
it may have
up.
ended up being a legal thing. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe so. But what stood out to me is that it's like, Robert Bill is the only one who had like a vintage figure, and none of the rest did. And to me, that's part of the thing that makes this really exciting is that yes, I want all those guys that are still out there that we haven't gotten to in Ultimates yet that had vintage figures. But I mean, we're going deep now so that, Claudus and the guard can hang out with the young Jaga portrait that you gave us and whatnot. So it's building
Well,
even different timelines.
and you need Robert Bill if you're going to get a cat slayer.
Yeah, exactly. He's got what looked to be the plans that you guys used to design the
Yeah,
cat's lair, right? It's
yeah.
like,
So, I
and
feel
he's got
like,
his stabby knife too. That was important that he had his knife because they can be stone cold killers.
but I feel like if you think about it from sort of how you were talking about it, it's like there's still storyline in all of it. There's a reason. It's like, oh, we got young Lion-O,
Hmm.
now we're getting Claudus. Oh, you got the Cat's Lair, now you're getting the Robert. Oh, you've got these other Lunatics. Well, you need Luna and Amok. So you've got sort of, we're working through all these storylines that we're creating in the lines to get you these new figures,
Yeah, and
rather than just simply like, oh, it's a checklist and you technically made this figure, they made this figure back in the day, so you need to make him now. And it's like, well, actually, if you're trying to set these up and put these together, I'm creating those scenes, I'm creating those dioramas.
yeah, and I mean that's I know I mentioned it, but something that a lot of people I know when Ultimates really started to take off for ThunderCats was is that people were we need the Lunatics, and now with this wave we've only got two left that you guys have gotten through. So I mean I love pulling through all the other places, and to me it makes me feel good as well for the line as a whole because it's like when we're doing characters like the Thunderian Guard or whatever, that's a good sign because it's not like, well, we're having to fill the waves with everybody that everyone would expect. I like that we can get into this universe building for sure.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so just a few more days to get pre-orders in on this one, but that
True.
it's a fun lineup, and yeah, young Lion-O and his dad can at least be together in plastic for all time now. But another pre-order that you guys have up right now was one that was exciting for me, and it is what I guess we're calling what the movie version
Movie
of
movie
Toxie, kind
version,
of
yeah.
in that vintage action figure style.
Yeah, I mean, Toxie is one of those that everybody keeps asking us over and over, when's the next Toxie coming? When's the next Toxie? There's going to be those people who are like, it's just another repaint, but it's like, I constantly get asked, like, when are we going to get another Toxie? And it's the same thing where we're going back and we're like, how have we not done one that actually kind of throws back to the movie?
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's the long and the short of it, where you're like, oh, you should make one that looks like the movie.
Well,
So
this to me is like the movie through the lens of kind
of
of
the
like
toy completely
the
with that
vintage
American
toy.
flag and all of
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
There's definitely toy nods in here.
And I'm really a fan of the new what I would call unique head that comes with this. It's like now that we have a few different Toxies, being able to display those different portraits is a part of it too. So I feel like this one wins for me, the alternate one. Yeah, but so I guess I kind of fall in the camp of yes, I want more Toxies and I want more characters, but it's good to see that we're trucking along, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I mean, this is really kind of where he started with
Yeah.
the movie, so it's good to have that piece of history in this line too. So yeah, that's a fun one. Another one really unexpected. Like when this was announced, I was
We
like,
knew this one was going to catch people by surprise. They're like, wait,
whoa. And
hold
even
on.
if I was like, okay, maybe it makes sense, it's time for a new comic Conan. Cull? Really awesome.
Well, if more than likely, if you were reading the Conan comics, you were
Yeah.
also reading the Cull comics,
Uh-huh.
you know. So when we were doing, we're like, well, if we're going down this comic route, you start to get into the villains, you start to get into other things, you start to get into different places to go. And then we're like, well, what about if we made, if you will, the contemporary? We just, instead of making it Conan and here's bad guy that fights Conan, what if it's Conan and Cull?
Yeah.
We're like, we could do Cull. Should we do Cull? Well, why can't we do Cull? No one's doing Cull. Let's
Yeah,
do
that's true.
Cull.
That's true.
You know, um, but it's so interesting too because when you really look at the comics, like we did the one Barry Windsor Smith,
Hmm.
uh, issue number one comic Conan, but as the comic goes on, it's like he doesn't really look like that.
Right. Right.
So all right, well, this is what comic Conan looks like
Yeah.
for most everybody else, if you will.
Yeah. And he's got it's definitely more of like that savage, like,
Yeah, with the big
angry.
exaggerated thing and the dark eyes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's cool to see him next to Cole, even from it's like, okay, yes, we know these are like two like barbarian guys with long hair, but I mean that's even the extreme differences in like their color palettes and whatnot, they really play off of each other really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is a fun one, and I love what it seems to open in terms of the door to possibilities as we would move through. So I'm kind of looking forward to not only getting these, but it's like the next one is like should we do this one? We can do this one. So which one's it going
Well,
to be?
I think that's also, we can all, I mean, and to be fair, Conan the Barbarian, the comic, like how how long are the legs really? Does anybody really know?
Hmm.
No one knows. And it's like, all right, well, let's see.
Yeah.
If it's one of those things where all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's really popular, then we can probably get, because the moment you start getting into the villains and different things, you're getting more and more obscure by the day.
Right. Right.
Well, how far can we go in there before there's just not enough of an audience? So
Yeah.
let's
Um,
let's start here and see if it works.
do you feel that, when you start into a property like that, that, because I think there's lots of opportunities for a lot of different Conan versions too. Do you feel like Conan needs to, be there to help kind of, push that too when you get into the more obscure like counterparts and characters that go with it, is, keep Conan not far as far as that goes for maybe people who weren't in on the lines earlier?
Um, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. What we're just gonna have to see. To be fair, I don't know. I don't know how people are going to come back and respond to it. Like they may come back right now, like we said, and if it's like no, it did really strong. Well, then there's a lot of energy and excitement around here. If it barely ekes over the finish line, it's going to be really tricky to talk about other characters in this line.
Right, right,
You
right.
know, so I don't have a clear picture of that, but I have a long list of things that I'd like to make from the comics. I can tell
Yeah.
you.
Starting with those other characters with Cull is a great one, and I'm excited for both of these, but I think I'm probably even a little bit more excited for Cull because I have a few Conan figures by this point, but I don't have any Cull figures, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too.
Well, this pre-order is ongoing as well, but the one that I've kind of saved for
Say
last
you say
for
save the biggie for the end.
we saved the big one for the end before we get into some San Diego talk, but this was the one we've been talking about for a while. And you've been very kind to kind of give some information out prior to when this is revealed. But 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimates, the turtle team all together for
Yeah,
TMNT 12.
yeah, and it has been really well received, which is
Yeah,
great.
good.
I think so much so. I don't know, think if it's officially announced yet or not. So much so that we're going to keep the pre-order window open a little bit longer because it definitely seems like it's continuing to move forward and people are you know daily still ordering and doing normally it's spike first couple days
Yeah,
and then a spike at the end where
at the
this is
end.
like like it's still like people are still discover it feels like people are still discovering it that might not have bought previous waves because it just isn't their turtles.
Right,
So
right.
it definitely on our side feels like people are still discovering it. So I think I don't I'm pretty sure it may not be announced yet, whatever, that we're going to give it some more time.
Okay.
Same thing to let people discover that it exists. Because what we don't want to do is then a year from now it comes out and people are like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't know." And then it's too expensive and all the other stuff that goes with it.
Well, this was solicited kind of at a strange time in terms of like shows and whatnot go, because this has just started and these are being, pictures of the renders and whatnot. Are you guys going to have anything as far as like some like physical printouts or anything of these at San Diego to show off as well, since they're kind of ongoing as far as pre-order goes right now?
I don't know.
Okay, well,
I should
that's fair.
have that answer, but I'm mentally going through the 9 cases that we have.
Uh-huh.
There's a
Uh-huh.
case that's got turtles in it.
Yeah.
I do not believe that we will have the outputs for these there.
Okay, I figured that it was probably a little early in the process for that to be happening. But to your previous point, with these being the versions of their turtles, this is the first time kind of a modern action figure take has been given towards the 2003 style, which is cool that we kind of have that first going. But then also there's a first here with some new articulation in the Ultimates realm too.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this
Hmm.
last time where, like I said, once we're talking about new people discovering this is if 2003 was your turtles, you're probably not been, playing with all the Playmates derived stuff or different things. Just you may not even be a toy collector the way we think of you as a toy collector at this point because, you're 15 to 20 years younger than we are.
Yeah.
So, you're really talking about a whole different generation and what are their thoughts and or expectations, not expectations meaning quality per se, but just what are those emotional things that how does it resonate with you? Like if I talk about reaction figures, like there's a certain styling and sculpting that you have to do on a reaction figure to make it feel like it would have come out in the 80s.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you can't make it more technical, but
Right.
you shouldn't. And in a case like this, we really talked a lot about what does it mean for this person
Hmm.
and what's going to make it feel like an enhanced version of what they had when they were a kid. And in that regard, double joints for elbows and knees really started coming back up as just sort of like it's not sort of an aesthetic choice in as much as a not expectation, but that's just going to make it feel more accurate to what they had. And then you have the added benefit of being able to hide a lot of that, in my mind, awkward looking articulation underneath the knee pads and elbow pads.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
like if I'm looking at, a turtle, you can look at, you can see, right there inside two elbows, and you can see all that extra material that we had to cut out. So now you have these big C shapes, and you would see that on the other side, you'd see it in the knee, but with that knee pad over it, well, you don't actually see it.
Right. Well, and
So it's sort of a begrudging, not begrudging, but a catch-22 of like, this is what's appropriate. And we can get as much of the aesthetic balance as we want out of these figures with the additional elbow pads to help hide some of the unsightly portions of that articulation pattern.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it's exciting too. But not only is it kind of new from what people have an expectation for, but new joints like this offer new challenges when it comes to like the manufacturing process too, right? And engineering. It's like whenever you add another spot for a joint, you got to make sure you're on your game to so that it can hold its poses and do its thing. So that's going to be a new piece of it as
Quite
well.
quite honestly, I'm less concerned about that part because I know we can engineer it. I know we can
Mhm.
manufacture it. It's more really just making sure these things deliver and look amazing when you look at them.
Yeah.
And there are, for as many people that will sit here and decry my choices on other lines, the reality is, like I said, I there's a lot of very vocal people, but there's also I know how many we sold, and those numbers are not the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, and I'm not saying this, you know, they look at it and they go, all right, what are you trying to accomplish? And I'm interested in that, and that's okay. I feel
Hmm.
like I'm defending it, but somebody's going to use this. They're going to look at this and say, well, because you did that, it invalidates everything you've done before.
Yeah.
And that's not true. This is
Right.
a different aesthetic choice for a different customer for a reason. And that doesn't invalidate or anything else. But like I said, there's a whole subset of people that view articulation as value, not articulation as function.
Hmm.
And it's just
I
like
got you. Yeah.
those two things couldn't be further apart in reality.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's the functionality part of it. So, I mean, I'm excited to see how these are going to move and pose and whatnot. And like you said, for this particular time of turtles and whatnot, it made sense to do it. And I wish I would have if I would prepare better because I wanted to mention the bonus pack, the super pack, because it's four heads that. Kudos to the team because those are like the exact expressions from the intro to the show that I have vivid images in my mind of that, and I want to commend them for getting those expressions down perfectly because those are probably instantly going to be my display heads for these when they arrive.
Oh, that's great. Well, the entirety of the team, and there were quite a few people that worked on this, so they all did an amazing, amazing job.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it just, as I said, because I don't have any, modern 2003 Turtles, and also, the new things that are going to come with these as Ultimates as well. So exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, all right. Let's keep with the turtle theme a little bit, but I think it's time to, talk about what everybody's focus is going to be on here in less than 2 weeks. And that's the really big show in San Diego because it's Comic-Con time. And
Comic-Con.
yeah, as usual during this time of year, you guys have been very busy over the past week or so with your
Oh,
announcements of things that are going to be happening at
I'm
Comic-Con.
I'm getting a text from my family that they're outside and forgot their keys. So I
Okay.
gotta let them into the office real quick. So we're gonna
Okay.
pause. Be right
We'll
back.
pause right
Boom.
there.
Back
Through
streets
movie
back.
magic.
All right.
We are back. And we're going to talk about San Diego because you guys have been Super7's been making the announcements of things that are to come at the show, and I think anyone who's kind of been with you for several years know how you transform the Super7 retail store in San Diego into your
Yes.
pop-up that's off-site from the actual convention. But this year you're going to have two off-site pop-ups, I think, for the first time
We're
ever,
back in two
right?
and two. That's
Two,
right.
two and two. And we're going to stay with the turtle theme because you guys are taking over a pizza parlor that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles themed.
Yes. I mean, this will be Friday, July 26th. Only one day only.
One
One
day
day
only.
only. Come
Only
on
one day.
down. Yeah. It was just one of those things where we're like, how has there never been a
That's
Turtles
a
pizzeria?
I didn't want to make it sound like I can't believe it took so long for you guys to I didn't mean like you guys to think of this, but I can't believe there's not pizza parlor franchises or frozen pizza at least that are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles themed, right?
Exactly. So it's Mikey or Michelangelo,
My
but Mikey's Pizza, and it's so we're taking over a whole uh, pizza restaurant, pizza shop,
yeah.
whatever, and turning it into what would his place be.
Wow.
And we will have pizza available.
Wow.
So there is free pizza available. There will be some normal flavors, and there will be a couple really screwed up
Oh
turtle
man.
flavors.
Oh man.
And it's the same thing. Like if Mikey had a pizzeria, what would it be? And
Pepperoni and ice cream.
yeah. So yeah, it's super fun, and the folks at TNT Pizza are amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's going to be a really good time. I think people are going to be really into it.
Well, I can't wait to check it out, and I know where I will be eating on Friday night then, because I'm going to be adventurous and get into some of those wild pizza flavors while I'm there. But in addition to pizza, you guys are going to be rolling out some exclusives that are going to be there at the parlor as well, including pizza-shaped card back reaction figures.
Yeah, some recolors on some reaction on pizza card back, and this is kind of derivative. It's not exactly, but it's kind of derivative of if you remember the weird pizza episode
Yes.
where Splinter had weird pizza.
Yeah.
And so we kind of started there and we're like, all right, what would it be like if, what would Splinter slices look like and everything? Because this is Mikey's pizza, but then what would Splinter have done? And so we're like, all right, well, then we'll make weird pizza slices for the villains. And
Fish
obviously,
cake and pickles. Yeah, let's do it.
licorice on there, the whole thing,
Uh-huh.
strawberry and avocado,
Yeah.
it's terrible. It's terrible. Amazing and terrible all at the same time. Yeah, and so it was sort of a like we're doing Mikey's Pizza, but it's hard to also not want to reference the weird pizza shredder thing.
Right.
So how do we incorporate what would have been weird pizza? And so this is sort of how we pulled that back in.
Yeah, and Mikey still gets his due as well as I think is this the first time he's being offered undercover Mike in reaction
Yes,
is in this
I
style?
think so.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
because we have Raph and Don, but now Michelangelo. So that'll be a fun one. And these are all individual because I still have
Yep.
I have the one
We
from a
had
couple years
the old
ago with the
pizza
pizza
that we
box.
did. Yes.
But these are individually
These are
carded.
individually carded.
Oh,
Exactly.
cool. Well, that's a lot of fun for especially in a pizza parlor. And so those are going to be available, as are some Ultimates exclusives as well, right?
Yes, I think technically Scumbug Glow in the Dark will also be at the booth.
At the booth.
I
Okay.
don't know if he's only at the pop-up, but I think
Okay.
he might also be at the booth. Don't want to 100% say that. He might or he might not. He might, I can't remember because he was originally, before we really got the whole pizzeria thing done,
Uh-huh.
he was going to be a San Diego exclusive
Gotcha.
anyway. And obviously, as we put together the whole pizzeria, it was like, and we've got the,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 So he may technically be available at both places, but yeah, this is sort of following up with sort of the greatest, grossest villains in
He makes sense for
Turtle
this.
World
Yeah.
done in glow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's gonna stand right next to Muckman and be like, I mean, we're meant for this kind of
exactly.
this glowing ooze color. So that's a really fun one. And I like the colors that are here because it's not like inverse colors or something, but it definitely feels like a black light color or something with his
Yeah.
pants and shirt top. So so that's a lot of fun. For the first Ultimates exclusive, because of course you can't have Mikey's Pizza without, Mikey himself in a
Yeah. I
pizza
wonder.
box.
I think I've got one in the other room. I can
Okay.
grab it and we can flash it on the screen if you want. But yeah,
Okay.
there is Chef Mikey in his apron. All right, all right, all right.
Oh, that's a deep dish box right there for sure.
Exactly. Deep dish box. It's already got all the stains
Yeah.
on it
Yeah.
already. It's soaking through. Here's the back.
Fresh from the sewers.
Pizza
Yeah.
Power.
Yeah.
And then open it up.
Oh,
And
that's
dartboard up top. And then
and complete with
Mikey.
apron and some weird pizza and everything that he should come with. So
Yeah,
that's cool that we're yeah, no anchovies, dude. Definitely
definitely.
not. Well, I was glad to see that. The pizza proprietor himself would be there because I will definitely be all over that. But I think we're talking here getting to most pizza places, if you want
This was the one where
delivery.
I'm like, people are going to love it or hate it. And I don't know which
So
one.
you guys are wild because redecoing the turtle van into a pizza delivery van complete with all of the pizzeria colors.
Exactly.
What?
Well, that we were sitting here, we were like, what, because we were talking about like, should we get, do we try to make a delivery van? Like,
Hmm.
at the event is one of the many
Yeah.
ideas, like, oh, it'd be cool if we had a delivery van. We wrapped something and parked it out front. We're like, we can't really do that. And, you know, there's no plan. And then at one point we're like, what if we redecoed the turtle van? Like it's the world's most expensive recolor. Um, but we're like, we were like, that would be funny. And then we're like, but would it work or whatever? And then we mocked it up and we're like, this is so rad. We have to do this.
Oh
And
man.
we're like, it's only going to be a very small group of people that are down for a recolor of this, but it's so cool. We have to do it. So
So
like this is his pizza store's delivery van.
complete with the stereo or the boombox and everything that comes with it. I mean, I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh. And then like I was suddenly hit by how in the hell am I going to get this home with me?
Well, here's the thing.
Hmm.
We have them. They are here.
Uh-huh.
We will take them for display to San Diego, but because of that exact same question, when you buy it, we just ship it to your house.
Ah,
You do not have to carry it
wonderful. That's perfect, actually,
because
because
it's the most preposterous thing ever. It's like you're making okay, so first off, you made up a fictional pizza place called Mikey's Pizza. And then you made it here. And then you made a van. You redecoed the turtle van for Mikey's Pizza. Like it's ridiculous.
Well, you're gonna roll your eyes at me, which I'm sure won't be the first time. But man, I think the thing with even with all the crazy colors and whatnot, those white wall tires are what like grabbed my eyeballs first, and I was like, oh man, those that's great.
It is absolutely ridiculous. And it was one of those things where
Crazy.
I'm like, even for us, we're like, either people are going to find this hilarious and be way into it, or they're going to be like, what are you guys doing? That's almost mean to make.
So I take it these are probably going to be a relatively small run, as
Yeah.
far as that goes. Then, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Well, so that's good news to hear that we will be able to see it in person, but then it will be a buy and you will ship
Yeah,
to
because
us.
no one
So
wants to haul this.
wow. Wow. Well, I mean, it's almost big enough that I'd be able to drive it home, but
It's true.
not. So Mikey's, oh man, Mikey's Pizza, complete with exclusives, including Mikey himself and the delivery van, will be Friday night of San Diego Comic Con. I can't wait to go and see this, and try some weird pizza, man. That will be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. And then we'll have staff t-shirts and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. Like there'll be a whole thing.
Wow.
Like it's a real, like imagine if you went into a pizzeria, what would it be like? That's what it's going to be like. Because it
I,
is a real pizzeria.
I wish my wife was going so we could have the romantic pizzeria dinner at Mikey's Pizza during San Diego.
One of those little
Uh,
candles with like the little wicker on the
Yep.
outside of it.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Nothing but the best. Yeah. Yeah,
Like it's a
absolutely.
high class. High class.
Oh, well, so I said that this is one of two pop-ups because your more traditional location, which is the
Yeah.
Super 7 San Diego store, is going D&D themed for the show
Yes,
this
it
year.
is the 50th anniversary for D&D, and it is a complete D&D takeover. So this will
Wow.
start preview night at 7 p.m.
Hmm.
The show ends at 7. The show ends. Keep the show
Come on
going.
over.
Come on over to the D&D pop-up, and that'll be running for the length of the convention.
Wow. Yeah. So, all done up. And I can't wait to go over and see that. But of course, it will have exclusives as well, including some of these glow in the dark versions of the reaction figures that you
Yeah.
guys have been.
Yeah, and with glow-in-the-dark card backs as well. The
Yeah.
card backs are really cool because they look like they're maps
Yeah. The
of dungeons.
dungeon maps. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah.
It's super fun little wave.
Yeah. And
There's a lot of cool stuff here.
yeah. Yeah. And then the one that I'm really looking forward to is our first Dungeons and Dragons Ultimates figure will be released with this exclusive version of Sheila in her cloak of invisibility.
That is correct. Sheila the Thief.
There was some canny planning going on with her being in that first wave to be able to have a cool and viable variant to make it to San Diego, right?
Like I said, everybody, we're already working on next year's San Diego, and this one, we got to work over a year out. So
Yeah.
trust me, we're planning.
Well, it'll be fun to have both versions because I mean this was her power. So it's like
Yep.
it's easier to have arrows or things like that as powers, but for her to go invisible, you really need a completely separate figure. So I'm looking forward to getting this one as well. And I love the callback to the ride, I guess, from the cartoon, as far
Yeah.
as the box goes for it. That's a lot of fun.
Super fun.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yay.
All right. All right. So
So,
those
so
are
are we going to talk about the big thing?
well, I'm going to get to the big thing because, as you mentioned, though, first you're going to be showing off some things that aren't exclusives to the show, as well, and that is the continuation of Ultimates, but in kind of a different, like not cartoon version, and going for the now, I think, more widely known character of Vecna is coming to Ultimates.
Yeah. So what we're really talking about here is we're talking about all, quite frankly, as the 50 years of D&D.
Hmm.
You know, when we're talking about the animated series, you're talking about the 1980s. Like, what is current? What is
Right.
D&D today? And that's where Vecna comes in.
Yeah.
Um,
We recently, like in the last month, have allowed my oldest daughter, who is 12 and a half now, to watch Stranger Things. So I'm already know I'm going to be down for two of these because she saw this and she's like, "Oh, I need Vecna now too." So it was a good choice in character because, like I said, I think a lot of people know Vecna at least from the show, and that has ignited some curiosity into the D&D world as well.
yeah, definitely. And it is exactly that. Like, that's what the pop-up is about. It's about
Hmm.
all 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons. So it isn't just retro.
Yeah.
It's from day one to today. And that's really what you'll see at the pop-up.
That's great. And will he I think I read he'll be on display at the
Yeah.
pop-up. Yeah, cool. Cool, cool, cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing all the because you can see the details and stuff in the sculpt. He's got a lot going on.
Yeah, it's
So,
it's a really elaborate sculpt.
yeah.
It's, as a figure, it's going to be really cool, but it'll definitely be, there's definitely moments where it's going to get a little fragile just by the nature of the
Hmm.
character's design.
Yeah. Uh, Vecna is coming into Ultimate, so I'm looking forward to that. All right. Now,
Now,
it's hard for me to sit here as a lifelong Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan and say I can't believe that something as wild as a pizza delivery van redeco of the party wagon. The thing that I'm most excited to see, though, and I think a lot of people are with me, is the debut of
Tiamat.
the damn queen herself, Tiamat.
Yes. Well, we spent a lot of time on Tiamat and, how do you bring Tiamat out and how do we make it not abhorrent, right?
Uh-huh.
Or abhorrently expensive.
Uh-huh.
And so this is sort of a crossover between some of our different disciplines. So
Yeah.
familiar with our supersized vinyls, so they're giant vinyl figures.
Hmm.
That works really well for animation centric stuff and cartoon centric stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Within Ultimates, it's a hyper articulated action figure. I say hyper articulated, and somebody goes, "It's not double jointed. You can't say that." And it's like, my Lord, it's more articulated than most things you have in your life. Like,
Mm.
just because, whatever. So, in this regard, if we wanted to make this injection, it would be all of a sudden you're talking about a turtle van again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're talking about something that just, it's very, very, very difficult. And quite frankly, we're talking about a character from a line that is important, but not exactly well known.
Hmm.
If you're not into D&D, you have no idea who Tiamat is.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's not like it crosses over into pop culture a little bit, right?
Right. Right.
Like Tiamat in reality is a deep cut. So in combining what we do with vinyl with the Ultimates line, I can get to a Tiamat. I can get to where I think we can get the quantity that we need
Hmm.
and actually make it the scale it needs to be.
Yeah.
And so in that regard, we can make a big vinyl Tiamat and get it to work and make it affordable, relatively speaking, within reason, so that it's not a $600 dragon,
Uh-huh.
right? If it was injection. Um, so I'm really happy with it. The prototype's actually right on the other side of this table,
Yeah.
unassembled. We assembled it last week. I'm gonna assemble it again this Friday for a video I got to put together, and then I'll literally hand carry this myself down to San Diego.
Wow.
It's super fun. It's super cool. But I think not we all, but I think we all know that it's still a deep cut. It's rad and it's awesome, but it's not, let me rephrase. I'm trying to think of the right thing, but it's like if you're talking about a major franchise, And it's like, well, it's He-Man versus Skeletor. Well, it's, this line is very much, Venger's the bad guy.
Yeah.
But even then, most people don't know who Venger is. And if you're talking about Tiamat, which is this, goes through all sorts of iteratives of D&D, it's still pretty obscure. So we
Yeah.
have to be realistic about that. But I'm really happy with it, and it allows us to get the scale that the figure needs. In the material lends itself to that matte quality that
Hmm.
you that you think of when you think of the animation.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with the, if you will, the engineering and production solve
Hmm.
that we have on this to be able to bring it to market.
Well, seeing the dimensions that were given and then kind of the picture of it in comparison to Hank, the render of
Yes.
Hank to show scale. I mean, I'll be honest with you, for me as a collector and on the shelf, she's got articulation, but it's going to really serve a wonderful purpose for me to be able to stand on the shelf behind the figures and still be able to be shown off so well because the heads are way up high, there's wings and stuff like this. So I even for someone who got into D&D after childhood, I am so excited for this because I think this is gonna what just ties that whole collection together. I mean, it is. It's like getting a cat's lair, or it's like getting a turtle van.
It really is, quite honestly. It is in that same zone.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not Cat's Lair because Cat's Lair is preposterous, but it's bigger than a turtle van.
yeah. Well, so you're going to actually, she's going to be on display at the pop up. And
Yep.
you're going to shoot a video. Have you guys settled on price yet for it? Because I would assume that pre-orders are going to go up pretty quickly, like during the show, right?
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, there's even been conversation from part of our team was like, oh, maybe we should be opening it now
Mm,
because people are genuinely excited about it. But um, I don't know the exact time frame that they're going to release all that information.
okay,
So, uh,
but soon.
but I know that, you know, this was definitely one that we were like, to be frank, I was more nervous about going into San Diego because you are talking about something that's smaller than that's bigger than Turtle Van. It's smaller than some of the bigger play sets, but it's not an inexpensive item.
Hmm.
It's not going to be $450. Let's clear that up. Like,
Yeah,
I hate to be obfuscative, but I don't remember the exact retail price that it landed on. Because if I say one thing and it's not, then
yeah,
people get upset. Um, but the response has been far stronger than I anticipated
that's awesome.
to Tiamat, which is great because that means I feel very confident that we're going to hit the number that we need to make this thing work.
Hmm.
Where, like we didn't get there with a couple of things that we've done in the past. We didn't get there with uh, the Cobra Mothership. We didn't
Yeah,
get the DIC figures.
yeah,
So you go into these things being optimistic but cautious.
yeah.
Uh, so
Well,
I'm excited that the response so far has been really strong.
I think that speaks to not only, the D&D fandom there, but to your point of of Tiamat not being like Warduke or something where everybody like, yes, I know that's from D&D, but this is a cool looking dragon that will be able to fit into, I think, a lot of different collections that people have out there. So, yeah. Yeah, this is really exciting. So you've got it was Cat's Lair last year, Tiamat this year. It's like I know you guys are planning for next year already, but I can't imagine what you're going to be bringing to San Diego in 2025 now.
Gold bullion.
Yeah.
They're good old bullying.
Right, right. Well, so this will definitely be worth it for the trip down to the pop-up alone, I would say. But you can also, of course, get the exclusives there. You guys, of course, will still have your booth on the floor at San
Oh,
Diego, and there
we haven't even talked about all the stuff on the
I know. I
booth.
was like, there's some great just regular exclusives there too, including Halloween kids with Snoopy being
Yeah,
brought in.
we've talked about this. I don't know when they're going to show the photo, um, but this is me. This is
No.
me as a kid. I have this. I have a photo that is going to get out there at some point of me as a kid in this Snoopy costume.
Oh man.
So when we were like, oh, we want to make Halloween kids of Snoopy, we're actually doing two.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I was like, whatever, one of them has to be this suit. And
Yeah.
here's the photo of me in, I think it is 77,
Wow.
wearing this costume.
Wow.
And so we actually went on eBay and bought a vintage one to match.
Yeah.
And that's me being completely selfish.
Eh,
Like, this is a Halloween kid of me from 1977.
that's awesome because those I mean those Ben Cooper costumes or those vinyl costumes they spanned decades so it's like so many kids wore those style of costumes and to be able to bring forward Snoopy which was obviously a costume and bring a little bit of yourself into that's a fun story to go with that figure.
Yeah. So just, yeah, that I'm personally, that one is obviously got a little, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, 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 right there for sure. Well, and you guys are this one was crazy too. I mean I came to the Thriller crew through this TNC surf design video game when I was a kid, but this
That
is
seems
the
to be a gateway for a lot of people. But yeah,
yeah.
this has been the breakout star.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting Thriller Gorilla, especially on that surfboard card. So this was a big surprise, and I think having this at a show in California is correct. But
Yeah, oh, and then we want to talk about this. All right.
and then the worst in some iconic colorways or
Yeah.
referential colorways that I saw this and at first I honestly thought somebody did a mock-up of it and it was like, oh yeah, that's fun. And it's like, oh wait, these are happening.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just sort of having fun with it all. Dennis and Christian on the design team came up with this concept actually a couple years ago,
Uh-huh.
and it's been kind of bouncing around, waiting for the right moment. And
Now's the time.
now's the time. It's sort of ironic, because the X series within our things has those big X's, and then they recolored them this way, and we're like, wait a minute, I never put two and two together. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, let's just have some fun with it and do it. It's like it's an homage, clearly,
Yeah.
you know, but it's our thing, uh, kind of played out like that. I think it's super fun.
It
And
is.
this is the stuff where you're like, you can't say anything one way or the other. Like clearly, like we're just having fun here.
Uh-huh.
Nothing else.
And and the color corresponding colorway to the figure I think all the matches and whatnot were made very well for this and as you said those iconic pieces just they're playing out very well in an homage so I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, this one was super fun, and team did a great job on it.
So these three will be at the regular booth
Yes.
in San Diego at the show, along with some other things. Yeah, there's been so much. I wasn't able to take us through, but of course you can find all of that information on the Super7 socials as well as the website and whatnot. Because man, the show's happening. You're gearing up, and the next time we talk is going to be in person, which is always great.
Yeah, it'll be in person, which will be wonderful. I think, not to talk about it again, here, but it's like we really worked hard ahead of time for this year's San Diego. Not that we don't every other year,
Hmm.
but I really feel like this year came together in a really, really exciting way. And so far, it feels like everybody else is looking at it going like, man, you guys really came with it this year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I, I'm really proud of what the whole team has pulled off this year for San Diego. I think the product and the concepts and the whole thing, top to bottom, just looks really, really awesome.
It's it's going to be a lot of fun, and we will be literally seeing you about town in San Diego at different locations, thinking about driving pizza delivery vans, riding on a dragon. I mean, whew.
It's going to be super fun. I mean,
Yeah.
we're for everybody, obviously, since it's not first Friday, but it's the first of the second Fridays.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're doing this the 12th. By the time, you know, literally, like for me, I think it's 9 days from now, I'm on a plane,
Wow.
you know, to San Diego because I got to be there early.
Yeah.
And some of my team will even be there before me. Like we're right around the corner from this. So by the time you're watching this, it's only a few days left.
Yeah. It's going to be like
It's
inside of a week for
gonna
you.
be insane. It's gonna be
Yeah.
insane.
Well, I get there on Wednesday, and I can't wait. So until then, when we get to chat, thanks for taking the time to get this last one in ahead of the show. And gosh, the next time we sit down, there's going to be even probably just as much with to talk about with everything you guys show off and having some new stuff in hand. And
Well, I think next time we talk, the first Friday will be like right after this has ended. So it'll probably be a bit of a recap. But we're going to talk at San Diego,
yeah,
and then we're going to talk right after San Diego.
so
And then,
we're gonna get
you
all the
know,
deets, get all the details out
there's a
there.
lot to talk about. But
Yeah.
thanks for coming on by, Veebs.
Well, I appreciate it, and we appreciate everybody tuning in to watch this and being flexible with our timing this month. But as we said, we will catch you here next time. But between now and then, it's San Diego time, so hope to see many of you
San
there
Diego.
in person at the pizza place, at the D
Yeah,
and
we'll
D
go to the
pub.
pizza place and get to the turtle pizza. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Thank.
Everybody's got a bad Italiano. Come on. I know it's no good, but that's okay.
But that's why you have weird pizza.
Am I the only one here? What's going on?
What do you hear? What do you say? All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. We will see you in California.